Okay, just wanted to wait a second to make sure it was live. 'Cause sometimes I'll start talking and then I'll go back and watch it and the beginning of what I said was cut off. Okay, anyway. Hi! Welcome to episode 12, or season 2, episode 2 of Fallen World. Last season was pretty focused on like existentialism and moral philosophy, and this season is going to be more about like cultural things and political topics because I'm trying to. I feel like there's a general theme this season of sort of identity versus empathy. I just noticed, and I'm just saying that thinking about what I'm planning on talking about. So yeah, I've been thinking a lot about identity past like 24 hours, but that's not what this one is about. This is a Valentine's Day special called Romance and Heartbreak because eh, I was gonna do this last week actually, and it was gonna be called Breaking Up or something, but I don't know, I just realized that I was gonna be doing one on Valentine's Day, and I thought, why not change the schedule? So we're gonna do this one today. Um, so yeah, to anyone new to this is basically just a show where I talk about my thoughts every week. Um, and I'm pretty new to it. I've been doing it for 12 weeks, obviously, but it's still something that I haven't really fully gotten into it yet. I don't have an audience yet. You know, right now it says 0 people are watching, and I really don't get much feedback either. Nobody comments, but I get some comments during my streams, and I don't really get any criticism though. It's not like a debate or a discussion. It's just, you know, nice, encouraging stuff, which I like. But that's what it is. So anyway, intro is over. We're gonna start chapter 1 now, and that's called The Lasting Foundation. So I thought it would be good to start by just talking about relationships and the ups and downs. And if we're going to do that, I want to start by talking about what a healthy relationship should be based on. And I think it's really important for, if your foundation for your relationship is something that's going to make the relationship last, you need to make sure that these key things are there. You want to make sure that both people have a growth mindset so nobody gets left behind. Because if one person, even if it's a marriage, a lot of people don't like the idea of ending a marriage because there's a lot more that comes with that than just breaking up with someone you're dating. But you really have to be confident enough to know that if one person has a growth mindset and the other one doesn't, it's just gonna end anyway, and it's gonna just be slow and painful as your partner sees you evolving and going ahead, and they're still stuck. And this is something that I wanted to talk about. I'm going to be talking about this more. Um, I think probably in the next episode because it's about. Actually, I don't know. I have a couple ideas, but this theme of like working within the flow of the universe versus being stagnant and like stuck energy, leaving things the same way, it blocks the flow and then things just get all messed up. It's not pretty. So that's a whole thing. I think I actually talk about that a little bit at the end. I have a note in chapter 3 about that. But hello, greetings from Colombia. Hello. uh So yeah, um, you need to be sure that one person isn't kind of stuck, and that you're both working within the flow so that you can build together and focus on going forward instead of one person trying to hold the other one back. And it's not always a conscious thing. It's not always that the other person sees it and says, I'm afraid that you're going ahead of me. They don't know it, but energetically they know that whatever their partner is doing, they need to stop because they feel them pulling away. They feel that they're going to go somewhere without them and they're going to be left behind, and they don't like that. So they'll try to hold you back. And that's, you got to, catch that before that starts because you're just setting yourself up. So another key is trust and communication, but it's also important to note that dishonesty doesn't, if you find that you are being dishonest with someone, that you have a hard time fully opening up and just being yourself around them, telling them the truth, that could actually be a sign that you gave them a special place in your heart, because you care that much about what they think, that you put so much extra thought into everything that you do and say with them, that you actually can justify being dishonest, because you don't want to just risk fully being open and then maybe you'll scare them off. So it's not necessarily a bad thing if you find yourself being dishonest with someone. It probably just means that they're really important to you, but it's not good. I'm just saying that it's not like it's not a bad sign necessarily. And it is a really good feeling when somebody that you think that you hold in that kind of high esteem, um, you really get to trust them, and it takes effort to kind of get to the point where you both feel like you can just do and say whatever with each other. You're not going to judge each other, but it doesn't start that way. So don't be afraid that just because it starts where you're nervous around them means that it's not a good thing. Although I think most people know that. It seems like pretty much common sense that if you're nervous around someone, it means you like them. But a relationship still shouldn't be based on fear in any way. You shouldn't be like afraid that you need to marry someone, so you have to find someone. A lot of people, as much as I hate to admit this, a lot of people really just rush into relationships and marriages because of societal pressure, just stuff that they heard growing up, stuff that they see other people doing, just stuff that gets in their head and sticks there. And they don't know why, but they know that they feel like they need to be in a relationship or have their life be a certain way. If you're not married by 30, like stuff like this, and you need to have kids by a certain age, all of the stuff that people think that they need to decide early on. And like it's just not, it's not a healthy foundation, and it's not a lasting foundation. it's it's fear-based, and there's a lot of other things that are fear-based that can cause things like this to fall apart. So make sure that you have trust, growth mindset, make sure that you're both honest with each other. And there is one more thing that um, I think I might have it written on another chapter. I'm not sure. No, I don't think I do. Okay, I better cover it now. Um, it's so weird. I keep seeing people come in and out. It was saying one person was watching and then two people. Now it says zero. It always annoys me when I look and see that zero people are watching, and then I know as I'm talking that you, the listener right now, are not watching it live. You're hearing this, but you're watching it on a repeat. You can fast forward and stuff like that. Nobody is watching it live right now. Oh, now it says one person is. Just as I say that, of course. But I bet that person's going to leave at some point, because that just keeps happening. The number keeps going from 1 to 0 to 2 to 0. Yep, just happened. Just left. Probably because I said that. I'm gonna shut up now. I'm wasting time. Oh man, if I edited these videos, this would be something I would edit out. But yeah, the last thing that I want to mention is that it is important to have trust. Like I said, working with the flow of things, I think of patience as kind of a test if you are going to be the type of person who will, well, not necessarily the type of person, because there's really no types of people. We all can just choose to do totally different things that go against the type that we are at any given moment. We're not like at the mercy of whatever type of person we happen to be, if that makes sense. Basically, we always have free will. That's all I'm trying to say. Sorry I made it confusing, but I mean, maybe I didn't. Maybe you understood. But I feel like I said more words than I needed to, and I'm still doing it. Um, so you have to, basically, if you're thinking that you have earned something, you work for something, you want to get a promotion at your job, you want to buy something, you work to afford it, maybe you're in a crappy living situation, you want to get out of it, whatever it is. Maybe you're, like, I can't, there's like so many examples, just something that you set your mind on, you decide that you want it, you feel that you've earned it, and then you don't get it. What's happening is that the universe is testing you It's right in front of you. You will get it because you did earn it. But you have to trust that you'll get it in divine timing. You have to trust that you have earned it. And if you don't trust that, you're going to start feeling like a victim. You're going to start feeling like the universe has cheated you in some way. Maybe not the universe, because not everybody blames like the universe, but people will blame circumstances. This person cheated me, this guy, so I'm justified in hating him now. Or, I was supposed to get this and I didn't get this, and this justifies me doing something um, that normally I wouldn't do. Normally I would consider immoral. People will leet. People will lie. People will cheat. People will steal, all because they feel that they have earned something that they didn't get. And the truth is that you almost earned it, but you had one last test. You had to wait for it, and you didn't wait for it. You didn't trust that you would get what you earned, and you decided to take matters into your own hands and step on other people to get what you earned, which is always a mistake because we're all part of one. We're all like part of one consciousness, and like a hand, and we're the fingers, but we're part of the same hand. Like we're all kind of the same thing. Hi, I said hi to you. Sorry, uh, I just got a whole bunch of spam from somebody telling me to say hi. Um, Sorry about that. If you are watching this live and you have, if it's 24 hours, not 24 hours, if it's like I think 11 or 12 hours after it's up, it should be officially processed, and then the live chat replay will be there. If you look at the live chat replay, you'll see what I was just talking about. But if it's within the first like 10 hours of this being out after I finish it, it'll still be processing, so that won't be available. Just so you know, that's how this works. Anyway, we're all part of the same consciousness, and everybody, it's like your brothers and sisters. We're all in this together. So if you hurt somebody else to get what you want, it's not going to actually get anything. It's just automatically that you're coming from a place of fear and control, which is, you're taking matters into your own hands. And then like I said, this season has a theme of like identity versus empathy, because your identity and your ego, it's the same thing. That's what ego is. It's you, it's your identity. And a lot of people think of ego, I hear people use that word as immediately it has a bad taste in your mouth. You don't want to hear ego. People don't like to hear that they have an ego problem, because they think it means that they're selfish or vain or whatever. And that's not a good thing. Immediately you're like, oh, I don't want to be that. So you're going to get defensive. You're going to argue. I've even told people that they were coming from a place of ego and they immediately got defensive, but it was a fact. They were. It wasn't even an argument. And I thought by saying that, maybe I could make them aware of it, but instead of looking inward, they just attacked me further. And that's because they felt attacked, and I wasn't attacking them. I was trying to help them be introspective, which is always what I want to do. I never want to attack anybody. But if I see somebody kind of spastically spurting out and not being in control of themselves, I'd either want to get away from that before I get hit by something they're tossing around, or I want to help them. And there's a time and a place to do both of those things. But you know, we are set up to feel like we're just waiting for the other shoe to drop. We're waiting for somebody to attack us, and that's not healthy to be in that much of a state of fear all the time. But we don't like hearing that we have an ego problem, so I started calling it identity, and I think that kind of serves the same purpose. I can make the same points, and I think that's people aren't going to get defensive if you tell them that they're coming too much from a place of their identity, instead of understanding that we're part of the same consciousness and we all share. We're all the same thing. We are one, basically, and everything is all the same thing, and everything is real and nothing is real. All these weird things that are true, and you don't know how it makes sense until you really like let go and just be part of it. But we don't let go because we prefer to hold on, because we get scared and we feel like we have more control when we're holding on. But all we're really doing is preventing the flow and not working with it. We're like going against the grain, and then we're not working within the system, and we're not working with the support of the universe. We're working completely on our own, which means we're doing a lot more work and for nothing anyway. Because if you're working and the universe isn't supporting you, that means what you're working for isn't going to really get you anywhere. It's not going to get you anything. It's just going to be maybe temporary. Maybe you'll enjoy it for a minute, and then you'll be like, and why did I even bother with any of this? What was the point of it? And then you don't know. And that's why it's, I realize a lot of what I'm saying might be going like over your head and you're like, what is he talking about? But if you watch some of my previous videos, it might make more sense because there's a lot. So if just ask anything that doesn't make sense and I'll explain it in the comments. Or just ask right now if you're watching live. So I see I have three people watching, just went down to 3. But yeah, so basically, my boyfriend is mad at me because I couldn't see him. Dorito Cheeps. I got grounded. Okay. Now, yeah. I'm not really sure what to say about that. That sucks, I'm sorry. Yeah, so, but that's the thing. You have to know that I don't know how old you are, but, if you are in a relationship with somebody and they're upset with you, you know, like I said, there just needs to be communication and compassion. If you're he said he's disappointed in me, but it's not my fault. My parents don't let me date. How is he disappointed? That doesn't even make sense. That's really weird. But yeah, I don't. And then again, I have another one coming up about like parents and parenting, because that's a whole topic. Um, oh, I'm 19 too. Um, yeah. So yeah, I'm gonna try and finish my point before I address that. I'm really sorry about that. But yeah. Okay. What was I saying? Yeah, we're holding on, like working with the flow, like you're holding on to something and then there's water underneath you, and instead of just letting go and flowing with the river, you're holding on and you're feeling all this pressure on you because you've decided that you are supposed to be holding on. And that means you're going to be holding on for dear life, and it's not going to be fun. You're going to be feeling a lot of pain, or you're swimming against the current, and it's like, where are you going? What do you think you're going to accomplish when you get there? You might get there and then you'll be like, yes, I got what I wanted. And then you'll be like, but why did I want this? What do I even have now? And it's because you were supposed to be going with it. And don't confuse that with society's current, because we make stuff up. You have to also keep in mind that we live in a world of people who swim against the current, and then we kind of made our own current. And that is a current that you should be swimming against. You should be always working with the universe. Don't ever listen to other people, because people lie, people don't know what they're talking about. People come from a place of identity, and they get focused on, you know, I need to do this myself. I'm not working with the universe. It's just me. And they don't give any credit back to the universe because they're not working with it. And maybe they don't believe in anything more than what's there. And again, these are all things that I've addressed before. So if you have anything to say about it, just watch stuff that I've talked about in the past. The last season was all about like existentialism and philosophy, moral philosophy. So that's not what this is about. But I sometimes have to refer to stuff that I talked about there just because it's part of the point that I want to make. So this was all part of the lasting foundation. You have to make sure that you have a relationship with some sort of higher power, some order, the universe, whatever you want to call it, God, the universe, just karma, whether like whatever it is. You can even have faith in karma. Just trust that things work in a certain way. And then if you really stop and pay close attention to everything, you notice that there are too many, you can't really believe in coincidences anymore if you pay attention to everything, because it looks like everything happens in such a specific way that how could it be random and why would it be random? The entire universe, everything in existence, is all just random and meaningless, just firing off in random directions, doesn't mean anything. Nothing is about an order or any sort of specific thing. I think that that's an extremely weird and idiotic conclusion to draw. And it has to be coming from a place of fear and control, because you're trying to manipulate something to fit your own goals and whatever you have, the point that you want to make. You want to manipulate things to match that. And that's coming from a place of fear, because why do you feel like you need to? What are you afraid of? Why can't you just relax and let go? What don't you trust about that? So if you don't have a relationship with some sort of higher power, any sort of faith in things meaning something, if you believe everything is random and meaningless, and you go seeking a relationship with someone, then you are going to be potentially looking at that person as if they are that order, and that, you're going to put them on a pedestal that they really don't belong on, and they're going to let you down, and that's going to hurt both of you. You have to not, it's like a hole inside of you that needs to be filled with faith in meaning. And if you try to fill that hole with a boyfriend or a girlfriend instead, that's not going to last. So that's part of the lasting foundation. So that's the last thing I wanted to talk about for chapter 1. But I had to clarify what I meant. I couldn't just say that without explaining all the other stuff. So that took way longer than I wanted it to. I'm already 20 minutes into it, and I still haven't moved on to chapter 2, but we're good. I'm going to try and quickly go over the next 2, because that was the most important part of this. And happy Valentine's Day to anyone who is in a relationship or single. I'm single. But chapter 2 is called Compassion Over Passion. And this one is kind of a dark one, because a lot of people, the first thing that I wrote under this chapter is I compared it to, I said, if you wouldn't be intimate with a child, I think, I would hope that the majority of people are absolutely disgusted by the idea of being intimate or sexual with a child, someone who's, like, I don't know, under the age of 18 or whatever. But it's also important to know why. I mean, a lot of people are disgusted by that, but they don't know what is disgusting about it. They just know, no, that's a kid, that's a baby, that's wrong. What makes it wrong? It's their mental state. It's about not just wanting to satisfy your own desires, but being able to consider that, like I said, we're all part of the same consciousness. We're all brothers and sisters, and we cannot pleasure ourselves at the expense of someone else without also hurting ourselves. That's not going to work. You can't step on other people to get what you want, because, like, again, with swimming against the current, you're going to get there and you're going to have what you wanted, and then you're going to question why you even wanted it, and then you're going to pick some other random thing to want, and then you're going to go get that and step on other people to get it. So if you would be intimate with a child, you are focused solely on getting what you want, even if it scars somebody else. And that applies to people who are mentally immature too. Okay, I just read most of that in my head, but it disappeared before I could read all of it. Stick around and leave a comment in the YouTube comments after this is published. It'll be published as soon as I push end. If you just check if you're subscribed to me, if you check in the subscriptions, you'll see it. But it won't, like, show up on my channel if you go to it. So you have to either be subscribed or just search for the title of the video, and it should come up. But it won't show up on my channel until tomorrow morning, when it's, like, properly processed and published. But just leave a comment right after I finish this, and I'll reply to you there, and we can talk about it there. Because when you leave comments like this, they disappear. Called you a disappointment, told you you're a mess. Yeah. Yeah, that's sad. Okay, anyway, it says I have 6 people watching. That's nice. That's a lot, more than usual. So, yeah, someone who's mentally immature, it's kind of the same thing. If, people don't take a lot of this stuff seriously. I see a lot of people sort of making jokes about people who have, like, kinks and things that are kind of coming from a place of damage, and they're trying to, again, like I said before, fill that hole with something that doesn't belong there, put something that doesn't belong there up on a pedestal. And this damage, this trauma, instead of dealing with it and healing, they're seeking someone to just feed it. And and it's sort of coming from like this numbness, this I don't want to look at it, I don't want to do any shadow work, I don't want to look in and see, I don't want to go to hell and back to take care of myself. I just want to pretend that it doesn't exist and that I have no work to do and that I'm fine. And then you're just going to go around and you're going to just be causing a lot of pain for yourself and other people that have to deal with you, and it's not good. You have to be able to work on yourself and take care of yourself. What else is there to do? What are you going to do? Get a job and pay for life and your family to take care of yourself and then die? Like, I mean, what do you think is the point of anything? What are you trying to accomplish if not working on yourself and healing and growing? Where do you think you're supposed to be going? What do you think you're supposed to be doing? I don't understand how people can make these conclusions. It's like they don't put any thought into it. But that's why I say it's all like fear and reactionary behavior. There's no thought involved at all. And a lot of people, who try to put logic in it, they're again coming from a place of feeling defensive, like they're just being attacked and they need to find some way to justify. And that's the thing. I said this, and I think it was episode 2, or maybe episode 3 or something. It was one of my earlier shows where I said that people will find a way to argue literally anything, and I mean anything. If you try to show somebody something and they don't want to believe it, they won't believe it, and they will find a way to logically justify not believing it. You can show them a fire, flames, and if they want to believe that it's actually secretly somehow ice, they will find a way to logically make it be that it's ice. They'll tell you how you're tricking them, how it's an illusion, and you can try all you want to say, look, I'm burning my hand on it, it's clearly fire, ice will burn you too, or something. Like they're or it's a trick. Like, I literally, no matter what you show them, they will not believe it if they don't want to. And there are things you can show them where people will be pushed over the edge if they're already considering it. But if somebody really is not at all open to believing something, they will not hear anything you have to say. It's like talking to a brick wall, and it's not going to get you anywhere. So you have to know when you're talking to someone like that and make sure that you're listening to them and trying to learn more about them. Just treat them like a science project. Try to understand them, but don't make your goal to change their mind, because that's like, going on a wild goose chase or a witch hunt or whatever. It's just, pointless. But yeah, so you have to know that if you feed your feelings, I want this, I need this, and then you just go for it. You have to know that your feelings are going to change. They're fickle. They're going to change up and decide to want something else. One day you hate someone. Somebody did something and pissed you off. To the person who was like telling me about their boyfriend, who said that they were immature and all of that stuff that's going on. Like, you know, that will change because we're emotional, and we, even though we really shouldn't, we put our emotions up on a pedestal and we say these are important feelings that we should listen to. And then you got the other side saying facts don't care about your feelings, and both sides are absolutely coming from a place of emotion and listening to their feelings. Because if you try to focus entirely on facts, you're still going to be ignoring the fact that you can't just live with facts, because there's too much going on. There's too much. You're never going to just get a full picture, a full world map of everything and every answer to every question you ever had that's completely objective and, impossible to argue. That doesn't exist. That's not, there's no Bible, there's no church, there's no religion, there's no philosophy, there's no book, there's nothing that can just completely answer every single one of your questions about life with irrefutable proof provided. That doesn't exist, which means that no matter how you slice it, you're going to have some sort of faith in something. And I believe that you can logically explain everything. I believe that you can make everything make sense show you what's real. But like I said, also, that's just me showing you the fire. You still have to choose to see it. You still have to choose to trust that it is what it is, because there's always going to be people who don't want to see what they're looking at, and that's coming from a place of emotion. And you have to know that your emotions are going to change. Your boyfriend who's mad at you is going to not be mad at you and then feel really guilty and think about how much he loves you at another time, and then he's going to be mad again. We're fickle. We go back and forth. We don't, we're not. If we put our feelings up on a pedestal and listen to them at every turn. We're going to be doing a lot of things that we regret. We're going to be reacting to somebody doing something that's frustrating. The other person may be wrong, their behavior may be disgusting, but if you just start going off on them, think of how they went low, and instead of going high and holding your ground, you went low too, and you just sunk right down to their level. And then you gave them material to attack you with. You just gave them something to use against you, and you're feeding them. You're making them happy as they see you go low. They like that because they're intimidated by you being, high and having, you know, this calmness, this feeling that you are sure of yourself, you're confident, you're comfortable, and you're always going to have the ability to choose to go high instead of low. So choose it. And that, if you're ever having trouble, like I said about like believing in order, you can just ask and just say, I don't know what to do. I'm really frustrated. This person's driving me nuts. I don't know how to react. And they're in between reacting and getting triggered. There is space for you to just decide what to do and ask the universe for help. Just say, help me decide what to do, and you'll get what you asked for. But it's not going to happen until you ask, because you have to choose it. And that's life in every aspect. It's always you have to choose it. So what I wanted to wrap up before I move on to chapter 3, I just wanted to clarify what I was talking about before with like being intimate with a child. A lot of people will be intimate with people who need healing, people who are really not okay, and they'll think that it's fine. This could go as far as like, but paying someone like a prostitute, or having a friendship or some sort of relationship with someone that's not based on love. It's just based on the other person wants your money, and that's not healthy for you to be feeding your own desires at their expense. And you may justify it by thinking, well, I'm paying them, they're getting something from it. Yeah, but what they're doing is they're taking money from you. You're enabling their level jumping. It's level jumping is what I said before about feeling entitled to something, like swimming against the grain. Like you've decided that you want something and you feel that you've earned it, even though you didn't choose patience. Like patience is a test. If you're going to trust that you'll get it in divine timing, or you'll just take it because you decided that you earned it and you didn't get it and you feel like a victim. And that's sort of what you're doing if you are working with someone who is paying you to hang out with them or do anything more than that with them. You decided that you've earned money and that you doesn't matter what you have to do to get it. And what you're doing is enabling someone who's clearly not okay mentally, if they think it's okay to if they're comfortable with having someone around who doesn't really want to be there. They're only there because they're being paid. That's not cool. What you need to do some inner work if you think that you can have somebody like that. And if you're okay with just letting someone who needs to do inner work pay you, you both have problems. That's not healthy for either of you. And one of you has to step up and be the bigger person and do the right thing. And it's just so sad. But there's always another way. A lot of people feel like they are backed into a corner where they have no choice but to do something that they normally wouldn't feel is morally justifiable, and then suddenly it becomes justifiable. And if you feel like you are backed into that corner, trust me, you're not. It's not real. It's just an illusion. There's literally nothing to be afraid of, and there is always another way if you ask the universe for it and you're open to listening. You have to get your identity out of the way, because you will be anxious trying to figure things out, and you're going to be tuning out the universe. You're going to be paddling around in the water, and there's a message underneath it, but you can't see it because of all the splashes and the ripples you're creating by panicking. Become one with the water. Be still, and then you'll see the message and you'll know which way to go. You have to calm down. So yeah, I think I just covered everything in chapter 2. So compassion over passion just basically means you may want something, but make sure that it's coming from a place of love and not control. That it's not because I want this and I love this, so I want it. A lot of people do that. They will turn the word love into something bad. They will use it to justify doing things that are not coming from an authentic place of love. And if what you're doing with the other person is actually hurting them in some way, that's not love. That's ego. That's, you trying to make something the way that you want it to be. And that's going to hurt both of you in the long run. You're just refusing to see that. So it's always better to have compassion. Think about what I'm saying. Think about how it may apply to your life and your situations. Think about your past, and just look back and think about how you could use this. And if you've ever been in a situation where you maybe chose passion over compassion, and then just think about it. Just sit with this, and then use it for your future to make better decisions. And maybe you never did something like that. Maybe you already learned that in like a past life or something. But nobody just comes straight out of the gate not knowing this stuff, or already knowing this stuff. You have to learn it at some point, and we don't learn everything all in one lifetime. We have different lifetimes to learn different things. Time is just kind of an illusion, though, so that's a whole separate topic. But chapter 3 is called The Breakup. And this is kind of the original intention behind this episode, and I just wanted to talk about what it means. I said last week that I think I've burped at least once in every episode, and I asked you guys to go watch my other episodes and try to find one where I don't burp, and nobody did that, but I'm still waiting. I'm not gonna do it. I can't watch myself for a long period of time. I have to watch these a little bit to find the timestamps so I can put the links in the description. So if you want to go back to it and find a certain part, I have the timestamps for each of the chapters, so you can just look in the description and click on the chapter, and it'll take you to when I go to the new chapter. But chapter 3 is about when a relationship ends, and this is inevitable. You're never gonna make it your whole life without having a breakup. The odds of the first person you date being the last person and the only person are almost non-existent. I wouldn't say non-existent, but it's close enough. Unless you're, there are more commonly I see people holding on in an unhealthy way, like they refuse to let go even though it's just falling apart and they don't want to believe it. But even that doesn't happen that often. But hey, there are situations where the first person you date is the last person, but it doesn't matter because, like I said, time is an illusion. It's not about if it's going to last forever. I don't know. Again, I don't know why that's your goal. Like, people just decide these things and decide that this is what I should want and this is what we need to stop listening to. Like I said, people listening to their identity is swimming against the grain. When so many people do that, it gets to a point where they make their own flow, and then they start swimming with that. And then when you come into the world and you're supposed to be flowing in the direction with the universe, and then you see everyone else going in the other way, it's really easy to get swept up in that and get confused. But you have to hold your own, know where you're going. And nobody ever is going to tell you. The people swimming past you in their own weird way that they just decided on their own is the way they're supposed to be going. They might tell you that you're supposed to find someone and hold on to them forever, but that's not real. That's their own thing. Don't listen to that. Tune that out. Just tune other people out in general, because people don't know what they're talking about. You have to know how to see humans as just sort of like people that are either in control or they're not in control. They're either mindful or they're reactionary, and we're just vessels of energy, and that's it. If stop thinking of people as people. We're all here. We're all doing the same work. Different parts of it, but we're all here for the same reasons, and we're all brothers and sisters. We're all supposed to be working together, and it's easier if you keep that in mind and know that that doesn't mean that you should always love everyone and forgive everyone. That's not what forgiveness is. Forgiveness is about you and making sure that you're not holding on to resentment, because that holds you back and prevents you from going into the flow. But if you are you're just being nice to everyone, and you're somebody does something really horrible and you just immediately say, I forgive you, it's okay, stay hanging around here, that's not helping them, and that's not coming from a place of love. That's holding them back, because you're just giving them what they want. And like I said, we don't know what we want. We decide that we want random things, and if you're always giving people what they ask for, that's not good for you. So you have to know how to hold your own, and also how to hold unconditional love for everyone. That's another thing people hear and they're like, oh, but I can't love everyone because look at some of these people and this disgusting behavior. How could people do this? You know, like I brought up like pedophilia in chapter 2. Like, it's disgusting. And there are a lot of disgusting things people do, murder and rape and whatever you can think of. Donald Trump, I mean, just like, just human beings are hard to look at sometimes, but that doesn't mean that you should hate them, because that's not really about them. You're giving them more attention than they even deserve. You're putting them on a pedestal worthy of your hate. You know how they said the opposite of love is not hate, it's indifference? Like, you know, you're still giving them attention and letting them hold you back and affect your growth. And that's not helping them or you. You need to make sure your goal is to help everyone. And you also need to know what that actually means to help everyone. That's not always what it looks like. It's not just giving them what they want. Um, don't feed the humans. um, so when you let someone into your heart, letting go will never be painless. And this is a really important thing to keep in mind, because a lot of people don't like the idea of going through a painful breakup, but it's inevitable. And you have to know that it's okay. Like, you can't just avoid getting close. People say, I'm not looking for anything serious, not looking for anything like that, just fun, just hanging out, or, you know, I'm still thinking about my ex, or whatever it is. All these people who are emotionally unavailable, and you find yourself surrounded by them, and you find yourself attracted to them and interested in them. And, you know, what does that mean for you? Why are you attracting those people? And why are you letting it go somewhere? You know, like, it's always a lesson. It's a test for you. It's You're supposed to be paying attention to these patterns and learning from them so you can work up to something better. You know, I had a friend who had a bunch of patterns, and he, you know, kept having crushes, and you know, it kept being the same thing every time. And then eventually he found a relationship that like really is working and healthy, and it's incredible. But it was because he was able to pay attention to the patterns and figure out what he was supposed to learn from them. You work up to it, and then you get, you know, rewarded for it. But, you know, even the relationship that he found, if it ever ended at some point, it would be extremely painful. And that's okay. You have to be able to take that risk. People don't like the idea that if they take the risk, if they let somebody into their heart to the point where they really care about everything they think, and that's what it feels like to be in a relationship. Suddenly, this is not just a friend that you know you can talk to sometimes and it's fun. This is like, you need to know what they're doing every second of every day, and you need to make sure that you're okay with all of the things they're doing. And if they're doing something that you're not okay with, you're going to be anxious, you're going to need to talk to them about it, and you're going to just act like they suddenly become like there's another you running around and you don't have control over it. That's how it feels to care that much about someone. And that's not always healthy either, but it's still like, it's just kind of comes with it. That's like the immediate reaction to caring that much about someone. But like I said, with trust and communication, you can kind of work on calming that down and trusting that the other person can take care of themselves. This comes with knowing them well enough to know that they won't um, just go do some wild, horrible thing that'll get themselves killed or you killed or whatever it is. Like, you know, not always killed, but just something that you're not okay with. And if you don't trust them enough, maybe you need to take things a little slower and work up to that. But you also have to know trust is a whole topic. And you also have to know that they're not always going to be perfect. Because, like I said, humans just make mistakes. It's inevitable. It's to be expected that we will lie at some point or hurt somebody or make a bad decision. Nobody's perfect. Nobody's going to be able to constantly always make the right decision and stay in the flow. It's very easy to get nervous and then still and then get swept back up in the other way. But, you know, there's like a universal flow and then the people ego flow. That's like the two opposite things, love and fear. And which way are you going to go? Nobody's going to be able to choose love 100% of the time. So if you expect that from someone, you're just setting yourself up for disappointment. And again, it's that putting them on a pedestal, giving them that place. You need to be able to trust in a higher power, and then you can trust that even if your partner does something that you're not okay with, that everything will be okay still, and that, you know, there's there's a way to turn any attack into, can make lemons out of lemonade out of lemons. You can make lemons out of lemonade. Whatever you want to do. I almost said that at first, but but when it ends, because like I said, it's almost inevitable that it will, if you're in a relationship, it's probably going to end at some point, and that's probably a good thing that you learn how to grieve that, because it's always going to be really painful to, I mean, if you're being honest with yourself and if you really cared about them as much as you should have in a healthy relationship, it's gonna hurt because you let them into a place in your heart, and you cared about them, and then they let you down, or maybe they died, or maybe they cheated on you or lied to you, or maybe they just weren't it just wasn't a match. I had a situation where we just were going in different directions, and it was a little bit like um the growth mindset and getting left behind, but there were other reasons, and I don't want to say that because I still have a lot of respect for this person, and like, she's still friends with me, so it's like, it just was, we just weren't going the same direction. So it still hurt a lot though, and I still, like, at first I couldn't even understand why it ended, and I was in so much, like, stress and pain thinking about, like, why. I think the worst part was not understanding why it had to end. I was like, yeah, but I was really happy, and I didn't want this to end yet, and it just did, and I don't get it. And I think when you let that kind of darkness accumulate all at once, like, if you have some horrible thing happen, you just stay in one place the whole time, and you just let all of that negative energy build up in one place, it could cause problems. You might want to, like, clean the space out, move your furniture, I don't know, like, use sage or something, just whatever it is, just clean it out, because it's not good to let that build up, and then you'll be sitting, if you don't do that, you're going to be sitting in there, and you're going to be thinking about, the time that you spent in there feeling like that and grieving that. But it's okay. You don't have to beat yourself up. You don't have to say, I shouldn't be grieving, I shouldn't be in this much pain, why did I trust this person. A lot of people do that. They blame themselves. I shouldn't have trusted this person. It was a mistake to let them into my heart. I shouldn't have done this. Just, it's okay to love somebody. Think of a family member, your mom. Imagine your mom died, or your dad died, or your brother, whoever it is, who you care about a lot, and they just die. That's not a mistake that you ever cared about them. How could you not care about them? It's your family. They're part of your world. It's okay to don't make a Little Mermaid joke. Um, it it's okay to to let yourself grieve. You just have to be gentle with yourself and think of it like a death, because, I mean, what is death really? It's like sending your kid off to college. It's like just, somebody moving away. They're not gone. They're just not with you in the way that they used to be anymore. And I think the best thing to say to someone who is dying, who's on their deathbed, is just thank you. Like, don't say goodbye. Don't make it a sad moment. Just thank them for what they gave you and the time that they spent with you. Let them know that you're not resenting them for leaving you. Just let them know that you appreciate the time that they had with you. Attitude of gratitude over greed. Um, and that'll help them to feel more comfortable in leaving too. Hello again. How old are y'all? I can't speak for my other viewers, but I can tell you that I have 4 other viewers and that I am 19. Um, but yeah, so yeah, this is kind of a whole separate topic, but a lot of people don't, like, believe in paranormal activity, or they do believe in it but they don't understand it. Like, people like playing around with that kind of stuff and going to haunted hotels and watching horror movies, and a lot of people get, like, use it to uh oh, I I saw the word old. um I don't know how I saw the word old, but I guess I wasn't expecting somebody to ask, how are y'all? Because, I don't know. I just figured nobody asks me that, because I tell people not to ask me that because I never know what to say. It's like a weird question. I mean, am I supposed to say I'm good, or I'm bad, or I'm fine? And then what do I say? It just seems like a formal, pointless question. Like, how are you? Good. Okay, now let's move on and pretend I never asked that. Nobody's expecting, how are you? Bad. Can I talk about it? I don't know. Like, um, so I never know what to say. I usually just say I'm okay, and then try to move on from it because I'm usually when I'm asked, it's like I'm walking out of my room past my grandpa, and he just says it, and I'm like trying to get somewhere. I'm not trying to start a conversation. Um, and he's not either. It's just a small talk. It's just little friendly whatever. It's pointless. Um, but I've shared my opinions on this, and then it always becomes a running joke. My grandpa does this all the time. He'll make jokes about things. He's the papa. For anyone who doesn't know, I have a separate channel that I haven't uploaded anything on in years called The Papa, and you can find it in my channels tab on this channel. I used to do videos with him and my cousin Eric, and we would have the Papa and Little Buddy, these characters that were aliens on a planet called Babylon, and I did this whole setup for it, and it was filled with inside jokes that probably only me and my family thought were funny, but I think if you like weird humor or left field humor, you'll enjoy this because it's a lot of like, what am I, what? A lot of my family who knew him, his friends and family, were like they couldn't believe that I got him to do some of the stuff that we did on that channel, and it just was really funny. But he tends to not let things go. You say one thing to him, he holds on to it, and then it just becomes a thing. Like if I mention that I don't like him asking me how I am, he'll say that every time as a joke. And just earlier today, he had it. He or it was like a thing that was going on for the past 3 days. We had our doorknob break off and not work, and it was stuck. And he just put a new doorknob on the door, the garage door. We have three doors. We have a front door, a garage door, and a back door. Totally irrelevant, but I felt like I needed to say that. Just to explain why I hesitated by saying door. I wasn't sure if I should just say door or clarify which door it was, and things. Uh, Live. Hello, I'm unable to edit this out. Anyway, the door knob broke off. You put a new one on, and it's one that you turn the lock, and it's locked. But when you push it down from the inside, it automatically unlocks, and the thing turns too. You see it turn, and it's a simple concept. A lot of doors are like that. From the inside, you don't have to unlock it first and then turn it to open it. From the outside, it's locked. No one can get in. But if you're on the inside, it unlocks. Simple concept. He comes over and starts explaining that the door doesn't lock from the inside and you have to lock it from the outside with a key. And everyone is confused as hell. And we're like, what does that mean? How would that even work? And this was his way of explaining what I just explained. And then he kept trying to make it more confusing and saying it automatically unlocks, but then it doesn't turn, or the thing, like, just complete nonsense. Everyone was super confused. No one understood what he was trying to say. I had to translate it for them. And now it's a running joke, and he's going to keep bringing it up over and over again until everybody wants to kill him. And it's just funny to him. and and it's just one of many things that he won't let go of. And he just was making a joke about it earlier today. Comes down and he scared the hell out of my aunt. He goes, "Hey, there's something I gotta tell you." And she was like, "Oh no, she thought somebody died." And, because we keep having stuff like, we have a family member who has COVID, and just, you know, we had a couple deaths last year. So immediately she gets freaked out, and the tone that he said it in. And then he goes, "So the the doorknob doesn't turn and she just was immediately like, so that's just my life. Um, Anyway, so sorry for talking for this long. 54 minutes is a lot longer than I usually do, but this is a special Valentine's Day episode, so I'm giving relationship advice and life advice, and this is a lot more than I intended it to be originally. But basically, to conclude chapter 3, the breakup, just be gentle with yourself. Understand that it's like grieving a death, and know to be careful when you're, if you're spending a lot of time in the same place, that it can accumulate negative energy and actually like cause paranormal problems. Sometimes you can invite that in if you're depressed in the same place for a long time, not necessarily just grieving a breakup, but if you let it become depression and like just serious, like despair, which basically just is the feeling of like no hope. Like you don't want to just feel like that for a long time and let stuff build up in the room, because you'll feel it. You'll feel stuff, and then you might notice things happening. Like you'll hear sounds in the night, and just you know be careful. And it's there's uh like cleansing trainings and stuff you can learn about to take care of that. But just just be aware of it. I'm not trying to scare you. I'm just trying to make sure that you know that that's a thing, and that it's not a bad thing. It's just something to be aware of and take care of it, because this stuff doesn't just come out of nowhere. It's attracted to, like attracts like. Um, so light and dark energy are both very real. A lot of people don't believe in things like that, or they'll say that everything is light and there is no dark energy. That's not true. There's a lot of misinformation flying around, but it's to me it's not even a belief, because it's just when you see it and you understand it and you just kind of, it just makes sense, and then you're like, yeah, well, why wouldn't this be true? And actually it couldn't not be true because of this. And that's sort of how I figure things out. It's not like I just choose to believe in it. I kind of break it down where it's the only option that actually makes any sense. And like I said, there's always going to be the people who say yeah but, and they don't want to believe anything that you say. Even if you're showing them plainly this is a fire, they still want to believe it's somehow not, it's ice, or whatever they'll tell you. um, those people are still going to exist, but that anyone who is just still enough to be logical instead of panicked and emotional and reactionary is going to be able to see that it's not a lie or something untrue or whatever. I've met and dealt with a lot of skeptical people, so I always feel like I have to clarify this, because I know that some people listening are going to either just be confused by what I'm saying, or they're going to just straight up disagree with it, or it goes against their religion or their beliefs, or they're an atheist and they don't have beliefs, but that in itself is a belief. And whatever it is, I just am like hearing people disagreeing with me or coming at me, so I just want to clarify that. Anyway, I went on for way longer than I wanted to, so this is before this becomes an hour-long video, I'm gonna end it. To the person talking about the boyfriend who is disappointed, talk about it in the comments right now, because I'm about to end it, and then the video will be there. So thank you. I'll see you next week. I'm probably going to talk about cancel culture next week, because that's on my mind. Excuse me.